The thing is this, if you're asking me the same question as people were saying, do you know that for 2 years of recession, none of the development partners wanted to join the fray? They said, bring us a plan on how you're going to get out of recession. Then we now had last February, we had economic recovery and growth plan, and everybody keyed into it. Do you know that in 2015, CBN was the only organization that was fighting? Everybody was on a war. You know, they were all missing in action. So CBN was the only one fighting, so they had to attack demand side, supply side of the country. There was nothing CBN didn't do. It was the only 100-pound gorilla out there fighting to save the economy. But now, you now have, in addition to the robust actions taken by CBN, you had a plan. And that plan was economic recovery plan. So other players now keyed in. The same thing is what you've got with China. That now we have a constructive plan. We've got to build a plan and make sure that we are going to use this channel to its most effect. And now China will sit down on the table and talk to our actors. And those actors are going to be led by the CBN, because the buck stops with CBN when it comes to monetary policy. So we have an interesting platform on which to build a robust program of developing business, not for Nigeria alone, but for the whole of Africa. The opportunity is massive and is momentous.
Professor Kenife, thank you very much. Let's introduce another guest now, often a guest also with us on Good Morning Nigeria, Mr. Muda Yusuf. Muda Yusuf is Director General of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, joined us from our Lagos Network Center. Mr. Yusuf, thank you for being with us. Are we over-celebrating the currency swap deal? It's only for 3 years in the first instance, and in terms of quantum, $2.5 billion, which is just about 30% or slightly over in terms of our volume of trade with China, and we're at the receiving end of dumping of substandard Chinese goods.
Thank you very much, Kingsley. I agree with you that we seem to be over-celebrating this swap. First of all, the details about the swap are still very sketchy. And as business people, we need to get the details before we can know exactly the dimensions of the impact of this swap. Secondly, the swap is about $2.5 billion US. Trade with China, at least as at 2017, was about $13.8 billion US. So it's just a fraction of the total trade. Let me also say this: we need to manage expectations when we have policy like this. The issue of trade is not so much between one government and the other. Trade is between one business person or one.
Time will tell. We'll keep monitoring the situation. As developments come, we'll know what to do when the time comes. A
very interesting conversation. What are your closing thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's important to also, bring some statistics to this. Again, out of the 68.3% of our traders, and out of the 71.2% of consumables that come in from China into this country, it's remarkable to note that 17.1% of these are raw materials. These are raw materials, consumable raw materials by industries. And therefore, if anybody is talking about against the currency swap, I think the person would need to sit down again and look at the implications to our industries, albeit positive. Now, having noted that, the issue of banks that you talked about here, selection of 4 banks, restricted to 4 banks, I think is a good thing. Don't forget that this is going to be for 3 years. This agreement is for 3 years. And for that 3 years, I believe that is going to be experimentary. And if that is the case, it is important to limit it to these 4 banks for now, so that the eyes and the ears of CBN will be opened to watch these 4 banks and to be able to monitor and regulate effectively. If it becomes an all-commerce affair, they might be used as conduit to even, push our funds outside.
Capital flight.
Capital flight and all of that. I think is very, very important. closing thought. What do we do from here? I think the CBN, before taking off now, should call for a meeting of stakeholders involving the traders, 2, the manufacturers,
the chambers of commerce,
3, the agencies that are going to implement this, i.e., the Customs, Standard Organization of Nigeria, NAFDAC, and CPC, the Consumer Protection.
In a 38-game Premier League season.
Champions Manchester City have broken the Premier League record for wins, points and goals this season and set another landmark by becoming the first side in English top-flight history to reach 100 points as Gabriel Jesus struck a dramatic late winner to beat Southampton 1-0. In other matchday 38 results, Manchester United beat Watford 1-0 and last season champions Chelsea suffered a 3-0 defeat by Newcastle United. And in tennis, world number 3 Alexander Zverev won his 3rd Masters title by beating Dominic Thiem in the final round of the Madrid Open. The 21-year-old German broke the Austrian early in both sets to claim a 6-4, 6-4 victory.
Hooray! Children's Day is here again. NTA2, your Richard station, is set to give you so much fun, entertainment and excitement as we celebrate Children's Day. Children, you can't afford to miss this fun day. Side attractions include red carpet and photography, march past, presentation by schools, bouncy castles, train rides, lots to eat and drink, and so much more. Date: Thursday, 24th May 2018. Time: 10 a.m. Gate fee: 1,000 naira per child. Venue: NTA Television House, Amadu Bello Way, Victoria Island, Lagos. Special guests: Her Excellency Bolanle Ambode, wife of the Governor of Lagos State, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, Senator representing Lagos Central Senatorial District, Senator Musuli Obanikoro, former Minister of State for Defense, Alhaja Adu Rashida Tabiodun, Chairman Iru Victoria Island Local Development Council Area, Chief Host Chidi Uluka, Zonal Director Lagos Network Center. NTA2 Children's Day Party, powered by MTN, Photo Fast Group, Dofil Prima Foods, makers of Indomie Noodles, Daily Foods Limited, Elo Water, La Sena Water, UAC Restaurant, Star Times, and Visual Drink. For further inquiries and participation, please call Wale on 080-3702-2845 or visit the Marketing Department, NTA2 Network Center. NTA2 Children's Day Party, celebrating children. Don't miss it.
This is the network service of the NTA.
time to your favorite entertainment program where you get all things juicy and spicy about your favorite celebrities. As usual, I am Cynthia Albeyaga. Thank you for joining us one more time. Today's episode, I'm going to start off by encouraging our celebrities who are doing so much more for the society, either in speaking against negative things or encouraging positive things in the society. As we saw recently in the FCT, we saw Jim Ike and Julius Agu get involved in the cancer awareness work. Jim Ike posted this on his social media page and he seems so happy doing that, and I'm like, more of this should happen because a lot of people are still not aware about cancer. This is a good one from Jim Ike and others. Also, we cannot forget about Foluke Daramola, the very talented Nollywood actress who we all know is very involved in humanitarian services. Yes, now she has released the first episode of her photo documentary series under her organization, Passion Against Rape and Violence. We all know she stands against everything that is violence, everything that is abuse, be it child abuse, drug abuse, name it all. She stands against it all. And I'm personally impressed, and I'm looking forward to more episodes of this series as it is definitely educative. Next up, we're looking at the first Prime Minister of Nigeria, Sir Tafawa Balewa, whose book, Shehu Umar, has now been adapted into a film and has been listed for screening at the 2018 Berlin International Film Festival. This is a good one, I must say. It shows that our Nigerian works are now getting more and more appreciated. Look at our movies, look at our music, and now look at our books. This is a good one, as this book is all about the times of slavery in 1966. Kudos to the filmmakers and everything. Anyway, right now, let's go check out our movie trailers for today. Stay with us, please.
I have good news for you guys. My company just got awarded a multi-million naira contract in Port Harcourt. And guess who has been chosen to spearhead the contract?
I smell war. With who? With your mama.
Let us pray. Oh, our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this food. Give those who do not have appetite, give them appetite. For the destitute, oh, our Heavenly Father.
Mommy, I'm late for work.
Yeah. It's me, baby! Live in the flesh! What's going on?
How is your girlfriend?
Hey, it's fiance. They went on to get me an apartment, so I have to move.
Move to where?
My new apartment.
How are you enjoying your house? Cool, until 2 days ago. What happened? His mom moved in with him. It's not funny. His mom will kill me. It's young John. I have never heard of a grown-up man like you sleeping with his mom on the same bed. The sound of it turns me off. What are you, a child? Did you sleep with her?
I said I didn't! I could have if I wanted to. Is she actually of the opinion that you do not talk to your exes? Or is she just upset that your mama took Rosanna's call?
In the night, get up down for you. Get up down. Oh, you talk to me, oh mama. Free oh, balance on me that you're with you.
Oh! Rosanna, how you doing?
I just got in from Paris tonight.
I think this might well be a bait to ruin your relationship.
Oh my gosh, not everything is a bait. Hey, get up! Are you out of your mind? Where are you going? What's wrong with you? Where are you going?
Go back to Rosanna. Go back to your mother.
What if we are here for a reason? What if we are a part of something truly divine? Imagine 91 billion light years traveled like that.
Sweet dreams are made of this.
Your father has accomplished something extraordinary, also dangerous.
Everybody's looking for something.
He's trapped by a darkness that's actively spreading throughout the universe. And the only one who can stop it is you. Be a warrior.
I'll try. Sweet dreams are made of this.
trust nothing.
Darling, time for dinner. Are you lost?
The only thing faster than light is the darkness.
Looking at the very beautiful and talented Nollywood actress Mercy Johnson Okoje, who has come out to tell us that we will not be seeing more of her in romantic roles because her husband Prince Okoje is no longer comfortable with them. Yes, she has decided to choose her family over her profession, and that is really a nice one because profession or career will definitely one day end, but your family will always be there for you forever. So yeah, family over every other thing. Nice one, Mercy Johnson. Now we're looking at Wizkid's hit song Daddy Yo, which is now set to be a soundtrack for an upcoming Hollywood movie, Pacific Rim Uprising. Yes, this was revealed by a Nigerian-born Hollywood actor, and I am personally excited about it. This is not the first time we're seeing a Nigerian song in a foreign movie as a soundtrack, but you know, it's just Wizkid. It's torn, and I'm excited about that. I'm even looking forward to seeing that movie. And speaking about top notch, we're looking at Davido, one of the top notch artists here in Nigeria, whose two major hit songs, If and Fall, have gone diamond and platinum respectively, because If has crossed the 1 million mark and Fall has crossed the 10 million mark respectively. This was revealed by RIAA. Nice one, Davido. Keep it up. We're expecting more jams. You know, money follow you. Yes, money should follow me.
If I tell you, say I love you, oh. My money, my body, now your own, oh baby. 30 billion for the account, yo. Yeah, Versace and Gucci for your body, oh baby. No do, gotta for me. No do, say that, oh. No do, shakara, oh.
Right now, let's go check out our new and definitely trending music videos that are, of course, making waves everywhere.
There it is, Alaga Ibile. I got 1759. I want to bad me, boy, mo je gbadun siga. Sorry, me.
What are my problem? I'm a new problem. I'm a new problem. I'm a new problem. It may tell my new problem. I'm a new problem. I'm a new problem. I'm a new problem. It may tell my new problem. Ojasu mumoto de femerule. Jaje yobu lole omushapu na pensule. Atini problem. Atini problem. Atini problem. It may tell any problem.
My makeup on fleek, dressing on fleek, my cooking is sweet, but I look who make you giddy. Tata kiri, but I look who now your eye then the fire. Tata touch, but I look who now your face then the fire. Then go pose, then go set, then go walk up front, then go look, then go pose, then go set, then go walk up front, then go look, and they go left foot it. Oba sheri fun elefurete, Oba jabo utikana lefurete, Oba sheri fun elefurete. Where you there? Are you gonna sing for your baby? Baby, where you there? Sing for me, boy.
Nitulize mtima, hata nikisema sikupende, nitampenda nani? Acha wengine tu waende, wewe baki nami. Girl, I wanna love you. Girl, I wanna let you know you're special to me. Girl, I wanna love you. Girl, I wanna love you. Girl, I wanna let you know you're special.
Will you be my forever? I want you so completely. Oh my baby, oh, you are the family, oh, you make me smile. Nobody loves you more, nobody loves you more than me, my baby, my baby. Cause I love me wrong, no one, and no one can please you more, no one can please you more than me. If I don't get you, it's like the sun without the light, it's like the moon without the night, cause I need you in my life. If I don't get you, it's like faith without belief, like a heart without a beat. What's a heart without a beat?
Desire, girl, it be you way I desire. You get the fire away, water no fit to quench. Girl, it be you way I desire. Girl, it be you way I desire. Mommy say, adore you, adore you, adore you, yeah. Mommy say, adore you, adore you, adore you, yeah. Mommy say, adore you, adore you, adore you, yeah. Mommy say, adore you, adore you, yeah, adore you, yeah.
Kala de say adore you, be so me mu, bra. Me di hine wa makume mu, embo mi hu, me don pi mu du. Me hu ade paw, inkule nu, so kateka, embo me ka, wa say makoma don the sa, me sha de ma, pompo dodo, pampana na wa hema bra. Na me nya o kana na.
Welcome back. Now we are moving on to the very talented singer Simi, who has come out to tell her fans, because mostly she's in the news sometimes because of her fashion sense, and most times people come out and criticize, and she has come out to tell her fans that she would continue to wear what she feels is comfortable for her. In other words, Allah be great. Auntie has decided that she would wear what she feels is best for her, as she's an artist and not a model, and she has decided to be more focused on her music and what she has to offer us. Yes, I'm a huge fan of Simi, and I respect her decision. You all have to respect her decision to wear what she feels is best for her. Allah be great. Next up, we're looking at Wizkid, who is now the first African star to model for Nike, because now he has gotten his own jersey for his fans. That is the Starboy FC. Yes, I know some guys are like, they can't wait to get their hands on the Starboy FC jersey, but then again, this is a big one for Africa. This is a big one for Wizkid. Congratulations to him. Now we're looking at someone who already has his own company, that is Orezi, who has left Spiritual Entertainment to now start up his own record label. That is the Gang Gang Music Company, and I'm looking forward to much more from Orezi. Congratulations to him, big ups, and we look forward to more works from you and your signed artists. Also, it seems like Abuja is not like the in place for all these shows, the performances, the visitations of our celebrities. As recently we saw Flavor, we saw Star Plus, who is based there, and Techno come to perform in one of the major venues in Abuja. But the gist here is that a lot of people will turn out for that event. We're not impressed by Techno's performance, as it seems like it was in a rush. And I'm like, you've been paid to do something, do it well. Like, because at the end of the day, you're still going to collect your money. But in other words, maybe he had something to do. Let's not just judge him for that. Maybe he had somewhere to run to, or had crisis or emergency or something. But in other words, please endeavor to do your work diligently, because people are watching. People are definitely watching. Right now, let's check out entertainment trivia. I will still be here when you come back.
Named Simisola Bolatito Ogunleye, she was born on April 19, 1988. Simi hails from Surulere, Lagos State, and grew up in Ojuelegba, a suburb of Surulere. She attended Covenant University, where she studied mass communication. Simi's discography includes 2 solo albums, Ogaju 2008, Simisola 2017, and a joint album with Fowls, Chemistry 2016. Simi won the Best Recording Artist of the Year, Best R&B Single and Best Collaboration at the 2016 Edis Award. She mixes and masters her album by herself.
All the party way then they do for Lagos City. Now there where you go find the money receipt. She know they carry last yo, she know they greedy. Yeah, kilon wa kiri. Mommy yetunde on tun lo yawo, on fe ra gele lo si.
Looking at ace comedian and actor Ali Baba, he has advised young and other actors like him to please live within their means in order not to showcase a false lifestyle. He has also revealed to us that monies that are paid to actors cannot actually sustain their lifestyle. As he also said that the money he was paid for just acting in Wedding Party, he earned it in 4 hours from just doing comedy. That is to say that most of the things we see on social media might necessarily not be real. So we the fans have to put a break. We expect so much from our celebrities. We want them to do this and do that. And when they don't do these things, we begin to insult them. In other words, you're expecting them to be false. You want them to live a false life. So let us encourage them. Let us support them instead of making them want to live a false lifestyle. Now let's check out our comedy skit for today.
Stop beating me, stop beating me. Every time you just be beating somebody. Stop beating me. I'll tell my mommy for you. You know that I bully. Stop beating me.
Hey! You dey beat my guy. My guy. Hey! Oya, Junior, carry my bag, they go. I go meet you for front. Run, no, but wait for me for junction. I go deal with this guy for you on your behalf now. Hey! You dey beat my guy. Okay.
You better mind your business or I'll beat you too now.
Hey! You go beat me. Me. Take Golo. Champion or worry. Hey!
Which one? I will just match you like ant, small ant like you.
Hey! Oh! You have suffered, take Golo. Oh, what a suffer. Today, I go show you say little drop of water behind the mighty ocean. I will tell you that small pepper and the pepper pass. Hey, Oya, if they burn you well, Oya, cross this line. Hey, you cross them. Hey, this guy, you not the fear. Today, okay. Oya, if they burn you well, knock this hand come from my hands. Hey, you knock her. Hey, now you go see the real me. You go see the real me. Hey, we'll close our eye, count to 10. At the count of 10, I go finish you. 1, they count. 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hey, my guy, I don't deal with that now. Nonsense.
Tegola, thank you for fighting for me. Hope you beat him very well.
That will be like elephant speaking. Now worry, he who fights and run away live to fight another day. When we grow up, we go beat him.
NTA2 party celebrating children. Don't miss it.
I'll make you celebrate.
Oga, open your full tank.
Hold on, please. Let me calm down.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Hope you've rubbed off your meter.
Oh, Oga, we no longer tamper with our fuel dispense meter because it is cheating and I will always sell fuel to all customers at the correct amount because change begins with me.
Nice one.
Yes, sir. How much, Oga?
Fill up.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Welcome to the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. I am Claire Delabo Abdul Razak, and this is the news at 10.
And I am Joy Usiago. We're broadcasting live from Abuja, the nation's capital. The headlines.
Jigawa State set to receive President Buhari, says his visit is an honor.
Ahead of Three Women Rally, the women wing of the Buhari campaign organization commenced mobilization of women.
Correspondent on special assignment in search of locally produced goods in hot demand.
Plus, Nigeria pledges stronger relationship with Sierra Leone as President Julius Maada is inaugurated.
And now, details of the news in full. Thank you for joining us. Ahead of President Buhari's visit to Jigawa, the people of the state say it is an honor to receive the number.
Thank you, and do have a good time.
Thank you, my Lord. Indeed, no fight against corruption can be without the judiciary. That's here in its street.
Welcome to the live telecast of the 8th Commonwealth Regional Conference of Heads of Anti-Corruption Agencies Conference in Africa. This conference is held as it would afford the heads of agencies involved in anti-corruption war to take stock and fashion new ways of tackling corruption in the continent. My name is Dele Atumbi. Welcoming you on.
For the purpose of a short message, Nigeria's one and only Professor Wole Soyinka, the wordsmith himself, Nobel laureate. Let's welcome him to the house. Well, Prof, I do know that you always insist to move around, walk around, and show that even as an octogenarian, you're well up to it.
The Vice President, Mr. Chairman.
The last time yes, let's begin to hear me. The last time I addressed a Commonwealth group like this. I think it was in Singapore or Malaysia, I've forgotten now, and it was during the reign of one of our terrors in this country, Sane Abacha. And this time it was actually a collection of legal minds. I think it was the Commonwealth Bar Association. And I attended that conference specifically for one purpose, not even to help us get rid of that dictator, but at least to try and recover for us a certain lump sum that he had donated to another head of state as bribery so he could continue to rule and terrorize us forever. It was a neighboring head of state. And I said to them, I'm very happy that the Chief Justice spoke before me, and I said to them, you are legal minds, you are ministers of justice, and I have just one complaint. Very specific. I said, a certain sum was taken in a light plane to the head of state of a neighboring country. And if you can just help us recover that sum, you can take 50%, give the resistance group just about 25%, and that way you'll help us not only to continue the war against this terror, but to establish a principle that corruption is not just an affair of one country, but a case, a responsibility of a collective group of people. Many, many years later, yes, I was justified, because then that became an issue in that very country. I think you all know what country I'm talking about. It was raised in Parliament, explanations had to be given. Up till now, I don't know whether Nigeria did recover that $1 million, that was the figure. But at least it became an issue, a problem of conscience. And this is exactly what I hope will emerge from this meeting. That we've been bled dry in this nation by corrupt leadership and their agencies is nothing to reiterate. It's a given. And I took the trouble yesterday to visit the headquarters of EFCC. I wanted to see what will be the mode of hospitality for some of our leaders who will surely sooner or later pass through the doors of that beautiful building not far from here. I think until, I'm not a vengeful person, but I think until we make sure that some of our leaders pass through those doors, the struggle against corruption in this country will not be won, will not be over. And so I spoke to Magu. I said, I want to see where's the presidential wing in this place. I said, I'm a human rights person. I want to make sure that you treat them right when they come here. And he said, sorry, it's an egalitarian institution. And I said, okay, I'll take that message back to them. They should get ready to go down a little bit in status when the time comes and justice catches up with them. For now, your responsibility, I believe, is just to help us recover the rest of the loot which is still flying all over the continent and reinforcing the development of other nations. You can leave Mr. Magu to deal with filling up the rooms in that beautiful building not far from here. Thank you so much, and thank you for your cooperation. Nobel laureate, Nigeria's Professor Wole Soyinka. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, talking about leadership, we do have in our midst a Nigerian who held sway for 9 years as head of the then federal military government. In circumstances that we all know, he left office, went back to school, and read political science, came back to Nigeria with a doctorate degree, and came back and he had no house. And he had been head of government for 9 years. It took the efforts of some well-wishers to build him a modest house. Today he's at this conference. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me invite a former Nigerian head of state, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, to give his message. Your Excellency.
Okay, thank you. They wanted me to march. Your Excellency, Mr. President, Muhammad Buhari being represented by our very able Deputy President, Yemi Osinbajo. Your Excellencies, the Secretary General, of the Commonwealth. Look, I haven't forgotten, my brother here, His Excellency President, Abdul Salam, and all other excellencies and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming to this Commonwealth meeting, the 8th Commonwealth Regional Conference for Heads of, of Anti-Corruption Agencies in Africa. You are all dearly welcome, all of you from all the countries of the Commonwealth. You are indeed welcome. Nice to see all of you. I think many of you probably don't know who this one is. I think there was somebody that came when we were at the waiting room, and he came past me and went away introducing the only white-haired gentleman in our midst, and so of course he was referred back to me to say, oh, this is General Gowon. So he said, oh, he doesn't know me. I look too young, he said. And I lie. Well, probably he was not born, or he was very young when I was head of state in the mid-60s, 1960s. But delighted that you are all here for this particular conference, which is very important. And you've heard the welcome, some of the goodwill messages that have been made, and I can assure you I felt a little disturbed when my gray-haired, white-haired gentleman was mentioning some of the heads of states in Nigeria that did something that I do not know what that was from in our time. During our time, I can assure you we do not know anything, of the sort, such as corruption. No. Yes, some of my ministers were being accused of corruption, but I can assure you it was something that we tried to make sure it does not happen, especially in our public service. Yes, but after my experience, after I left the office in 75, and of course the stage, I left the office, I can assure you I had, apart from my salary, it is those staff who were with me during the OAU meeting, that contributed, their ESTA code to make sure that at least I have something to live on after I have been asked, to leave office. And so that was the only one. And I said, if I had probably done something, made sure that I provided for the future. No, I think it is that experience that probably made some, after one left office, those that came after, that made them probably to make sure that they provide for the future. And therefore, you should not blame them for doing that, after the experience that one of them had. But during our time, I can assure you, we do not know how to do that thing. As far as we're concerned, we were afraid, of being exposed of anything, any wrongdoing, and therefore we know everything that we have in the country belong to the nation, belong to the people, and we must not touch, anything. We must not, touch it. And so that was, the situation during our time. And so it is really very sad to hear and to hear reports, and of course you hear publication that all Nigerian heads of states are thieves. You read it in magazines, in papers, and of course that really affected, the image, of the office of head of state of Nigeria, head of state or president of Nigeria. It is sad, and we must really try to make sure that all our leaders, that are are elected into office, they do not. They should check themselves to make sure that if they are there, let them earn what they get, but let them not touch the nation's coffers, because doing that, you are stealing and you are depriving the ordinary people of their right. Now that's what you've come here to discuss. And I would like to ask you, in your discussion, try to find ways and means that we can encourage all leadership to move away from being tempted to touch national wealth, and let them be honest to themselves, and to ensure that such thing does not happen again, because it gives all of us, all heads of states, former heads of states, gives us a very bad name and image, and we know that such a thing should not be done, should not happen. So I wish and hope that your meeting here today from all the Commonwealth countries, you will find ways and means of finding out how we can deal with this problem, and how we can be able to get back whatever money had been stolen by anyone, that we can be able to get it back to the country for the good of the people. And one hope that whatever is brought back is certainly truly used for the well-being of the people, not for the good of those who are in office. So I wish you a successful meeting, and I hope you will come out with solutions how you can really encourage and ensure that this bad habit does not continue again in Nigeria, in the office of heads of states. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this meeting, and I wish you a successful deliberation and outcome of the meeting, hoping that you will be able to really find ways of making sure that all money that is stolen from your respective countries by their leadership, that they are returned for the good of the people, of your respective nations. Thank you.
message of General Yakubu Gowon, former head of state, at the opening of the 8th Commonwealth Regional Conference of Heads of Anti-Corruption Agencies Conference in Africa. This conference is held as it will give the head of the agencies involved in anti-corruption war to take stock and fashion new ways of tackling corruption in the continent. My name is Dile Atumbi, welcoming you on behalf of other crew members.
Of government in Nigeria. He is credited with being the one who birthed the democracy we now enjoy. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, another former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar.
Excellency the President, ably represented by the President, Vice President, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me add my voice to welcoming you. Sorry, the Secretary General of our Commonwealth, Your Excellency, you're welcome. Let me join the other speakers, earlier speakers, to welcome you to this meeting. Certainly, it is a welcomed one, and I wish you all the best as you discuss the way forward, how to name this monster in the society. I wish you good deliberations and enjoy your stay in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, former Nigerian head of state. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me now at this point call on one who's seen as the originator of this movement. He is the coordinator of this conference here today, and let us invite Dr. Roger Koranteng, advisor and head public sector governance at the Commonwealth Secretariat. Dr. Roger Koranteng.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. Your Excellencies, I have a confession to make before I continue. I think I want to own up to General Gowon's person he was talking about. I was the one. I've gone to the holding room to welcome my boss, the Right Honorable Patricia Scotland, the Commonwealth Secretary General. Then I met a distinguished gentleman sitting there. Obviously, Professor Soyinka's face was known in the whole world, so I recognized him immediately. But the rest of the distinguished gentlemen there, I couldn't make them out. But as soon as I was introduced to General Gowon, I said, oh, I know the name, but the person looked younger than the name. I've made some research to indicate when was he the head of state in Nigeria. Then, when I got the year, I calculated whether I was born.
It is in practical and collaborative ways such as this, working with and among our member countries, that we continually raise the standards we set for ourselves in the Commonwealth in response to the expectations of our citizens. And I really want to applaud you all. I applaud the fact
that 8 out of the 10 of the best performing countries in Africa on Transparency International Corruption Index and the Mo Ibrahim Index of African Governance are Commonwealth members, and that there are no Commonwealth African countries in the 10 most corrupt countries in the world. However, we can and we must go further, and I believe that the development and the rollout of the Commonwealth Integrity Index will act as a further weapon in our armory to tackle this global tsunami. By doing so, we truly are working and acting towards the goal which I have so often enunciated. It is to put the common into commonwealth and the common into wealth. And that is our task. So during the next 4 days, let's get to work. I know we in Africa say that nobody eats for free. However, we can no longer continue to sit idly and watch while a few eat what is meant to be for all, as the majority starve. The fantastic work that you are doing ensures that the food is and will be shared equitably for us all. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that work.
That was the Commonwealth Secretary General, Patricia Scotland, and the takeaway from her speech is that the conference should take a look at the emerging challenges and ways of tackling corruption in the region. She described corruption as a global tsunami.
Gentleman, from his humble beginnings, rose to become the President of South Africa, was well known for his anti-corruption stance, and just like the struggle, the fight has been his life. Today he comes in to present at this 8th Commonwealth Regional Conference for Heads of Anti-Corruption Agencies in Africa, His Excellency Thabo Mbeki, former President of South Africa.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies. His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari is represented by the Vice President Roshan Bayo and the Right Honorable Baroness Patricia Scotland, Commonwealth Secretary General, Your Excellencies and Acting Chairperson of the FCC, Ibrahim Magu, and friends. I'm sure you know that Ibrahim Magu has asked me to speak a little bit later today. So I'm saying that in order to say that you are saved from 2 big speeches. So I will now make some rather short remarks because I have to speak again a bit later today. But really, let me say thank you very much to the Acting Chairperson of the FCC, Ibrahim Magu, and the Commonwealth Secretariat for inviting me to attend this meeting. I think let me say I am quite certain that our leadership, particularly including the political leadership throughout our continent, is very, very focused on the matter of addressing 2 issues: the eradication of poverty and the eradication of underdevelopment on our continent. And the reason, of course, for all of that is very obvious. That we all need to do whatever we can to improve the standards of living of these billion Africans. And the second, of course,
is that it's also quite clear that there are many problems on our continent that we cannot solve without solving these issues of poverty and underdevelopment. Whether you are talking about matters of social and national cohesion, matters of peace and security, matters of the stability of our democratic systems, matters that have got to do with respect for human rights, for respect for diversity, for the diversity of our societies. I'm saying fundamentally none of these major problems can be solved unless we address these issues of socio-economic development in conditions that create the material conditions for a shared citizenship among our peoples. I'm saying this to emphasize what everybody has said, including just now the Right Honorable Baroness Patricia Scotland, of generating the resources that we need to address this development challenge. And in that instance, our anti-corruption agencies must be at the center of that struggle, of the struggle to make sure that we retain within our continent the resources that we need to address, as I was saying, those socio-economic development challenges. And therefore it really was, I was very, very pleased that I received this request from the acting chairperson of the FCC, Ibrahim Magu, to come and share a little bit of time with you. People who must stand at the forefront of that struggle to retain within our continent the resources that we need, resources that are exported out of Africa through corrupt practices. And indeed, I think Professor Wole Soyinka was correct. He was talking about an instance in the past when he was arguing for the return to Nigeria of $1 million. But I think we're talking now about the return to Africa of billions of dollars. And I'm very, very glad indeed that the Commonwealth anti-corruption agencies are able to meet at this 8th conference in order to say what is it that we do together and to address that matter of keeping within our continent resources that we need to ensure that we achieve the development that is required in order to build the Africa that we want. But with those few words, I want to say thank you very much and best wishes for the success of this 8th Commonwealth Regional Conference of African Heads of Anti-Corruption Agencies. And thank you very much.
Former South African President Thabo Mbeki there, he harped on eradication of poverty and underdevelopment. He equally canvassed the need for the issues of socio-economic development to be addressed.
This is the 8th Commonwealth Regional Conference for Heads of Anti-Corruption Agencies in Africa. Just a quick reminder that as we progress with this opening ceremony, I'd like to remind all the delegates that there is an exhibition which has been mounted just at the foyer here outside this hall. It features photographs and exhibits those who have been convicted on anti-corruption charges, as well as some exhibits that have been recovered by Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. But that would be for much later. For now, we ask you to take a breather for just a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes, as you prepare to listen to the main address of today's opening ceremony. We know that you will have to listen to some speeches all along, like His Excellency said, 2 strong speeches, but now for just a short breather as we prepare to take the main opening ceremony of this conference. Thank you very much. The police band right in attendance here. Thank you.
As of today, the federal government, through TSA, had been able to save 120 billion naira between 2015 and now. That is one of the achievements of the present administration as regards its anti-corruption stance.
Thank you very much, the police band. Now, Your Excellencies, back to this program. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, is being represented here today by no other than Nigeria's Vice President, a senior advocate of Nigeria, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
Thank you very much. Please sit. My Lord, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, Your Excellencies, former heads of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Yakubu Gowon and General Abdusalam Abubakar, Your Excellency, the former President of South Africa, Mr. Thabo Mbeki, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, the Right Honorable Patricia Scotland, Professor Wole Soyinka, heads of anti-corruption agencies in the Commonwealth of Africa, Your Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, our host, the Acting Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Ibrahim Magu, other government functionaries present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It really is a special pleasure to join you at this 8th Commonwealth Conference of Heads of Anti-Corruption Agencies in Africa. I speak to the converted when I say that for us in Africa, corruption continues to be one of the greatest challenges of our time. A problem that threatens the very existence and continued survival of our societies. It has been rightly described as a crime against humanity because of the implications on the lives and livelihoods of all, especially the poorest. It undermines democracy and the rule of law. It distorts markets. It erodes the quality of life. It allows organized crime and terrorism to flourish. And it triggers needless wars and bloodshed. And indeed, much has been lost and is still being lost. A report that may be cited in this gathering is the one by the One campaign titled The $1 Trillion Scandal. The 2014 report claims that developing countries lose $1 trillion annually to corporate transgressions, most of it traceable to the activities of companies with secret ownership, and I'll come back to that point. Another report that may enjoy mention here is the 2015 report of the high-level panel on illicit financial flows from Africa, chaired by our guest of honor today, the former South African President, Thabo Mbeki. The panel concluded in its report that Africa has lost over $1 trillion over a 50-year period, and that Africa loses more than $50 billion annually to illicit financial flows. Most of these illicit flows are perpetrated in the extractive sector, and many through companies with hidden ownerships. The cost of corruption, therefore, imposes on all African countries and governments a moral obligation to fight it with vigor and political will.
by strengthening all institutions and systems involved in law enforcement, as well as in promoting a culture of transparency and accountability. Now, while public sector corruption is the usual focus, the private sector's complicity is significant, especially with large multinational corporations engaged in tax evasion or transfer pricing. But it is the more complex web of public-private collusion and connivance that results in proceeds of corruption ending up in countries and especially in their financial institutions and systems. Dismantling the conspiracies that facilitate the export of stolen assets is probably as important as the theme of this conference, which is partnering towards assets recovery and return. It underscores the fact that fighting corruption is futile if we do not ensure that the proceeds of corruption find no safe haven, and that such proceeds are fully recovered and promptly repatriated. Recovering stolen assets not only accomplishes the goal of restitution, it also serves as a potential deterrent to future corruption. Article 51 of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption states unequivocally that return of assets is a fundamental principle of the Convention, and it mandates state parties to afford one another the widest measures of cooperation and assistance in this regard. Similarly, Article 16(1)(c) of the African Union Convention for Preventing and Combating Corruption obligates state parties to adopt such legislative measures as to enable repatriation of proceeds of corruption. Now, the effective implementation of these conventions depends to a considerable extent on the willingness, cooperation, and assistance of states in the areas of mutual legal assistance, law enforcement, asset recovery and return, and technical assistance. Regrettably, the procedures to obtain mutual legal assistance, to seize, to confiscate, to repatriate proceeds of corruption are often so complex and so problematic, they certainly are in urgent need of reform. The absence of a legal basis for cooperation in some countries, differences in legal and procedural frameworks, language barriers, bank secrecy rules, jurisdictional issues, a lack of funding, as just some of the obstacles standing in the way of effective mutual legal assistance. It's of course heartwarming to note that there is evidence of a renewed commitment to collectively identify the most effective ways of overcoming these existing legal and technical obstacles to asset recovery and return. The Global Forum on Asset Recovery, GFAR, which held its inaugural meeting in Washington, D.C. in December of 2017, is one good example. This is the latest effort towards facilitating asset recovery and return. The meeting brought together governments from 4 countries from which resources have been stolen, namely Nigeria, Sri Lanka, Tunisia, and Ukraine, and those from other countries that tend to be the destinations for these looted resources, to coordinate efforts aimed at identifying those resources and ensuring successful repatriation. The Global Forum saw the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Nigeria and the government of Switzerland for the return of an additional $320 million of the Sani Abacha loot. Included in that agreement is the commitment that the funds will be invested in one of Nigeria's flagship social investment programs, the conditional cash transfers, a scheme which is targeted at the poorest and most vulnerable households in the country. I should point out that Nigeria has been at the forefront of sponsoring resolutions aimed at enhancing mutual legal assistance and asset recovery and return. In 2015, Nigeria and South Africa, on behalf of African countries, sponsored a resolution titled Facilitating International Cooperation in Asset Recovery and Return of the Proceeds of Crime, Resolution 6/2 of 2015. Now, this resolution was passed at the 6th session of the Conference of State Parties of the UN Convention Against Corruption held in St. Petersburg of the Russian Federation. Other resolutions include facilitating international cooperation in asset recovery, Resolution 5/3 of 2013 at Panama City, Panama in 2013, and strengthening mutual legal assistance for international cooperation and asset recovery, Resolution 7/1 2017 in Vienna, Austria. Both of these were sponsored exclusively by Nigeria. Nigeria has also worked hard to mobilize other countries, especially African countries, around the issue of asset recovery. We were key participants in the London Anti-Corruption Summit of 2016, which marked a watershed for our administration's anti-corruption agenda. Permit me to mention an issue crucial to asset recovery and repatriation. This is the use of anonymous companies, masked corporate ownership of companies, and this is deeply implicated in the corruption story. Yes, we know that anonymous companies are not always illegal, or they're not always designated to harm, but we also know that secrecy provides a convenient cover for the criminal and the corrupt. And we're not just operating here from a theoretical or hypothetical standpoint. Our lived experience has shown clearly that anonymous corporate ownership serves as a vehicle for masking conflict of interest, corruption, tax evasion, money laundering, and even terrorist financing. If nothing else, the Panama Papers clearly illustrated the global scale and spread of the problem. So this is a global challenge, and nothing less than a truly global approach will be needed to tackle it.